Hello everybody, Will Salt here. So I am just coming up into day 2 of week 7 of the training. So we've got about 2.5 weeks left until the Newark half marathon. Just to recap, all my training sessions have been dictated by the HRV rating that I'll take every morning, and all this training for resistance and circuit training have been less than 30 minutes. On average, they probably average around about 20 minutes a session. The volume of training that I've done obviously is determined on whether I get a good HRV rating. So some weeks I might train 6 times a week, other weeks I've only trained 3 or 4, so I've varied it around. Then on the weekends I've been doing a 60-minute plus really steady cardio session, just going for a run. Last weekend I did a slightly more intense run just to gauge what sort of speed I'll be running at, and I'm probably just slightly off running and hitting my personal best time. So for a half marathon, which was done when I was about 22, and it was in 1 hour 47. At the minute, the rate I'm running at, it'll probably be about 1 hour 50, but if I get around about that, I'll be pretty happy. What I've done this week is actually increase the intensity of the training. So I've kept the time exactly the same, but I've increased the intensity. I've done very, very fast sprints on the interval training. I've increased the time that I'm sprinting for a little bit. So I'm actually hitting the absolute maximum burn. So for example, this morning I did some sprint intervals. One of them was had burnt me out that much. It took around about 7 minutes to recover. The recovery time is important when you do things like HIIT training. So the longer in the recovery time is where you make your aerobic adaptation. So if you're doing HIIT training and you're not, and you're recovering very quickly within 30 seconds, a minute or something like that, you're probably not training hard enough on the intervals where you're meant to be training hard. I've also incorporated some turbulence training. So that's basically a style of circuit training where you mix resistance training with cardiovascular training. So I use spin bike work, kettlebells, and some body weight work on that. And I've also started using German volume training to increase the strength in my legs. The reason why I use this particular method is that it allows me to gain strength without having to lift a maximum weight, so it protects my back. So the whole of this process of training for this marathon is about training where I reduce my times down, but also train that I'm not damaging myself or causing injury to myself. So there's a lot of maintenance work, a lot of recovery work going on, and so far things seem to be working quite well. And the best thing about it is actually I'm not tied to doing ridiculously long workout sessions, so I have plenty of time to work, plenty of time to spend with the family. I don't have to worry about getting obsessed with hitting a certain training schedule as well, because it's all dictated by the HRV rating. And in terms of food, I've been focusing on intermittent fasting principles, so that's eating within an 8-hour window in a day. I'm not being overly strict on that, so some days it's been eating within a 12-hour window. So I'm aiming basically to not eat food between 12 to 16 hours over a 24-hour period, and that allows better recovery time, allows me to digest the food that I have eaten more effectively. Doing this method as well has also allowed me not to be overly worried about being overly strict about what I consume. I've been eating natural foods, healthy foods, but if I've had the odd thing that isn't considered to be healthy or good, it hasn't massively affected me. And with this, I've also progressively lost weight. So I'm down to around about 200 pounds from around about 210 pounds throughout the whole process. And my body fat percentage has dropped by around about 3.5%. So I'm pretty happy with that. And also I've lost, I think it'll work out in centimetres, around about 4.5, 5 centimetres off my midsection. That's around the abdominals where the belly button is. So I'm quite happy with that as well. Anyway, I'll see you all next week, and I hope you all have a good weekend. Bye.